Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to brief everyone present here about the placement empowerment program. First of all, conducting such a huge event on Zoom is a very tough task, and there are many people at the back end who are working week in, week out to make this program a success. So our admin team deserves an applause. So I would request everyone. There's a clap emoji on the bottom right screen on your screen. So please applaud the admin team consisting of Mrs. Devarshi Gandhi, Mr. Kairav Buch, Mr. Swapnil Atre, Parth Soni, Darshan Gadesaria, Nishtha Bhargav, and Dirgayu Sharma.
And yourself.
Yeah. So yeah. And with that, the speciality of this training program is that he has trained over 15,000 students. Shailesh sir has trained over 15,000 students, and over the past 18 years, he has groomed many professionals who he calls as PEP soldiers, because these soldiers are people who follow their principles, follow Shailesh sir's principles, and have seen the results following his principles. So today we also have PEP soldiers with us who, despite working or despite studying, dedicate their time towards the mission of Shailesh sir, and help in propagating this mission throughout the globe. And today we also had two students joining us from Canada, Mr. Alay Patel and Bandish Kothari, who took the benefit of this training program. We'll be listening to their feedbacks later on in the session. I would like to now shortly brief about what happens, how this session works. So at first, Shailesh sir takes personal interest in everyone and studies everyone's personal background, professional background, and cater to their needs, cater to the requirements. The basic principle remains the same, but in every session, depending on the participants, he molds it and caters to them personally. Then comes the self-analysis part, SWOT part, where he focuses on self-analysis, SWOT analysis. After that, a major quarter of the training program is focused on the English-speaking part, because as we know, many of us have the weakness of English. So a major quarter, the focus is on English. It's not a pre-module training, a grammar module. It's not like that. It's more of a practical and a scientific approach to develop your English, right? Then comes the resume building part. See, we here at YCG we don't focus at making your resumes more graphical, more appealing. No, we focus on how to make your resumes more attentive. Attention to detail is the first priority in a resume, and believe me, a PEP resume always stands apart from the masses, and it gives you a huge bonus when you go to the job market. It pioneers in the concept of a visual resume. Visual resume is actually a compilation of your video interaction and your resume in the form of a video. So what happens is you prepare a video interaction consisting of a 1.5 or 2 minutes where you are addressing to the potential employers in a quite a subtle manner. And then as we draft a resume in a Word format, that Word format resume is converted into a video format, right? So in YCG, we teach how to convert that Word resume into a video resume. So that's known as a visual resume. And believe me, there are many people who have got the benefit of a visual resume, and that too in the period of lockdown where it's very hard to interact with the recruiters physically. This visual resume works wonders. Then comes the interview part. See, Shailesh has appeared for more than 1,000 interviews and also has taken more than 500 interviews himself. So because of his splendid experience when it comes to the interview, his experiences, his sharp wittedness helps us to prepare ourselves for interview and crack them, right? Preparedness and sharp wittedness is quite important to crack an interview, and that is what he gives us. Coming to the GD part, group discussion part, he also teaches how to smartly crack a group discussion, because group discussion, many of us struggle to clear the group discussion. So he quite smartly explains us how to crack the group discussion. Despite not knowing the topic, you can, let me repeat, despite not knowing the topic, still you can crack the GD. So that's what he teaches. Coming to the last part, that is the salary negotiation part. See, many of the working professionals also who have an experience of 5 years, 10 years, still are not clear about the salary structure. Still, they get exploited by the corporates when it comes to the salary negotiation. So it's very nice that at such an early stage we can learn about the salary structure, how to negotiate and all, and how to because of that, how to climb the corporate ladder, because at the end, money matters to us. So that's the thing. So this is how the training program is modeled. It's a 30-hour training program, but then also we have dedicated more than 40 to 45 hours, because every session is quite an interactive session, that time is not a bar for it. So that's the speciality of the session. So thank you, Nishta ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to brief all the dignitaries and the participants about the training program. Now I give it back to you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, Pradeep, you have mentioned it very well. Now, before I invite our chief guest, I would like to brief about him. He is an ex-Vice Chancellor of GTU, and he's a very, very empowered elite VC of GTU. During those days, he had done lots of reforms for the empowerment of the students and for the well-being of the employees too. He is one of the pioneering VC of GTU, and I want that this group should take the blessings from him, and I wish this group should work upon themselves under his guidance. It's a great pleasure that he has joined with us today. He has taken out time for us from a busy schedule, and he has joined us from Canada. And you know that we have 2 more candidates from Canada, and you also know that the timing there is now 10:30. So I welcome you, sir, and I hand over to you.
Thank you.
Okay, friends, thank you very much. Friends, it's a pleasure for me to connect with you at the program, empowering the graduating students for facing the world is something which is required. And I'm thankful to Dr. Shailesh Thakkar for inviting me to the program of 3 government engineering colleges, which are led by Dr. Brahmbhatt, Dr. Nimesh Joshi, and Dr. Rathod. Programs like this PEP have become much more important than these were when GTU organized 5-day programs for graduates in the previous few years, 2014 to 16. At that time, unemployment situation was not perceived to be so serious, but such programs are required even when there is no unemployment whatsoever. The competence acquired through such programs helps one get a placement which one deserves. To tell you a little bit about my own experience, when I started teaching here for the first time in the very first semester, in the first week I found that the students here were probably not as intelligent as the students in my class in India used to be.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but then by the end of the semester, they had gained much more than our class in India would gain, because here the students are, determined to extract as much as possible from the professor.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they work hard themselves. They continue to ask the questions in the class. They don't sit just like that. And then they continue to come to the teacher's office to ask about different questions. So they don't leave anything, if they have not understood it, they will follow it up. So you are all very intelligent. I assure you, you are probably as a class more intelligent than any equivalent class anywhere else.
Beautiful. Nice.
So you have an opportunity of holding your own. The only thing is there are some minor things you have to build up. And these are things which are required to be able to face the world. So the first thing I want to tell all of you is you are intelligent and intelligent enough to face the world.
Beautiful.
So see, many times I go on telling this thing because it's my own experience. I'll also tell you about another experience of mine. For a master's degree, I received a file from the university over here, giving all the work that the student had done at bachelor's, and I selected a student. His name was Wang. When he came from China, even though his record was great, I could hardly understand him because his English was so poor. It was very difficult to get what he was saying. He worked with me for 18 months on his thesis, produced a wonderful thesis. He was very intelligent, but could not get a job in Canada. Now he's in IBM China and in a very senior position over there. But in China, you know, they don't require English. They talk only Chinese
Yes.
in Mandarin.
Yeah.
So it's very important. You know, I really have not many students like him in my master's program because he was really very intelligent, very hardworking. But then he could not get a job over here. So it is very important for us, besides being intelligent, besides having all the knowledge that you have acquired through your studies, it's very important to learn to face the world. And that's what this PEP is teaching you.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now, another thing that is required is a proper attitude to work. In the industry, if your attitude is not proper, you are not going to be, a success. I hope you have taken some courses on developing such attitudes. In fact, there was one course which we had developed once at GTU, where the last 3 chapters used to be on preparing a CV, going for an interview and group discussion and all that. But whatever courses you have taken, it's important that you learn these things. The rest of the world today requires great people. In fact, today there should not be a shortage of jobs. There is not a field today where innovation is not required. There is not a field today where things are not changing completely. We talk about a civil engineer. Over here, there is not a single house which is built today, which is not really a full machine. You know, we live in a machine over here. And the same thing is going to happen in our country. And why it should not happen in our villages and in our small towns is a question. So what you have to learn, whether you are a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer or an electronic engineer or IT engineer, the thing is, things are changing so fast and new products, small new products, are coming into the market in such a big way and they are being used everywhere that if you think about even making a small product and selling it in the local market, very soon you will find the product will find a place all over the world. So today, this is what is called the 4th industrial revolution. We are right into it. And in this particular revolution, what you require is a large number of engineers to do the job well. I'll give you one example. A few months back, we imported over here a very special kind of bed for a patient. Now, this kind of bed, they said, is not made in Canada. It was imported from England, and most of the parts were manufactured all over the world. In fact, the main motors were from Germany. As they started working on it, as they were setting it up, the motor broke up. And I was asked to have a look at it. When I had a look at it, I was surprised. The problem was, I don't know how many of you have programmed a PLC. The problem was that the PLC programming had been done so badly that the remote which worked, if you were to press a different button than the one which was prescribed in the proper procedure, you would break the motor. So you had to go step by step, as thought by the designer. The designer had thought that you would press first of all this switch, then this one, and that's the way it will work. But if the patient were to press another switch, the whole thing will go haywire. This is the kind of program which the first learner who learns such programming will learn in the first week. It was not done, the programming had not been done by anyone who had even done this kind of work for a month or two. What I'm trying to tell you is, there are so many products available in the market which require good work, good handling, good design, and something which is not difficult for anyone who has learned the thing well. And but still, because it is the new fourth industrial revolution, such products go on coming into the market, failing, succeeding, and again repositioning themselves. And there are thousands of such products which are today in the market here. There are new kinds of switches, new kinds of remote switches which can, for example, reset your router. I don't know how many of you have used routers at home. Many times, they are required to be reset. And while working, you may feel uncomfortable to get up and go to the router and reset it. And you have new switches, a small switch which has been modified in such a way that from remotely you can reset the router. So these are small products being used by millions of people all over the world and being designed and manufactured by young people. You don't require a very large amount of knowledge. Whatever you have learned probably may be good enough. Today, if you go to any new home which is designed, they are not the old kind of boxes. At least 50% of new homes have got an environment control, wherein as you move into a room, they will look into who the person is and adjust the environment accordingly. And these things are not now done only at Bill Gates' home. These are things which are becoming available for use by ordinary people. What I'm trying to say is, there is no reason why these things should not be done in a village over here. Why these things are required to be done only in America. It is only this, that we are not looking at the opportunities. We are not wanting to use the technology for making our life more beautiful. And these things don't really cost a fortune. I mean, for example, a new kind of switch, well, it may cost a little more, say 50% more than the ordinary switch, but that's all. It's not really very costly. So there are thousands of jobs which are awaiting you. In fact, with fourth industrial revolution, 2 years back in Switzerland, there was a discussion. And in that discussion, they said there is going to be a huge shortage of knowledgeable people. People who know how to design today's homes, people who know how to design machines today. And I assure you, these are not things which are very far off. You go to any factory near you, even in Daud, if there is any small factory which has been established recently, Probably the machine may have come from Taiwan or from China. And there is nothing more in these machines. And we are purchasing every year, billions of dollars of these small machines are used by small factories. And there is nothing great in those machines. They are the same old 50-year-old HMT machines with a little bit of electronics put in. But you have to apply your mind to it to modify. So what I'm trying to say is a whole new world is opening up, and there are hopes that we are going to change the world within the next 10 or 15 years. And this is going to require an army of engineers, knowledgeable engineers. And the world is going to face huge shortage. In fact, the worry is that the fourth industrial revolution may not go as fast as required because of shortage of engineers.
Oh.
So the thing is whether we are ready for it. See, today nobody is going to take time to train you. You have to learn yourself. There are opportunities available for you to learn. Of course, in our generation also we learned ourselves. Like, I have gone through the whole array of computing. When I did my PhD, the computer used to be a whole big building, it had to be air conditioned so that the computer will work.
Yeah.
And the air conditioning cost would be more than the cost of a computer of today, which is much more powerful than the computer which was occupying 2 floors would be at that time. And most of these things we had to learn because the technology changed, and then there was no one to teach me. So you had to learn yourself. You had to go along and learn. Same way, you have to go along and learn. And I assure you, whatever knowledge you have obtained, that may be good enough to take you forward, provided you go on learning yourself. Of course, the universities here are helping by providing what they call lifelong learning programs for their alumni. But their alumni also help for more intensive interactions with the industry and in many other ways. So therefore, I do hope that you will succeed. You will change India and the world, because India is waiting for these changes. We are not poor because of any other reason except that we are not developing our own products for our own use. And when we start developing such products, you will find there will be a huge market, not only in India, but all over the world. So I only want to say, it's great that you have taken this particular program. It's very good that the principals have tried to organize such programs. And I think these are very much needed. And more than that, what is needed is a change in attitude. You have to understand that the whole world is yours. You have to go ahead and grab the opportunities. See, the opportunities, unfortunately, don't come to you and fall in your lap. Sometimes they do, but most of the times you have to grab them. And if you have faith in yourself, let me assure you, the whole world is yours. I don't want to take more time, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to interact with you. Thank you.
Sir, it was really nice and terrible motivating. It was a perfect motivational speech, sir, wherein my engineers have got an idea and they have a hope now. And after PP also, yes, I do give, but then you are from your mouth, they feel very good that yes. And I always used to say, engineers are required. Engineers are required. So thank you very much, sir. And only one question, sir. One.
Yes.
Here in India, there is a tendency of engineers. I want to go abroad. I want to go abroad. Canada, US, New Zealand. But actually, what is the job scenario at Canada for an Indian going there and taking a 1-year course on business analytics and something? What is the job prospect there?
You see, one thing we must understand. Today, the world does not care for a degree. The world cares for what you can do. If you can do something useful, jobs are available. But if you present your CV saying, well, I have got this degree and that degree and maybe something more, well, that's okay. But the first question is, what is it that you can do?
Correct.
So if you can say, I can do such and such thing for the company, they'll be ready to accept it. In fact, my daughter was working in Imperial College London, and then because of family reasons, because of her husband, she wanted to come over here.
Okay.
She came to Toronto, and on the very first day she told me, well, these are the 2 jobs, shall I apply for them? I told her when I looked at the first job, I told her, this job is yours. Just go and tell them what you have done at Imperial and what you have done in your masters, and they will take you. And she got it in no time.
Very good.
Well, the point is, if you can tell what you can do, and if you have the competence of doing it, then people are waiting for you, for the job.
Good.
But then there are people who go on moving around because they themselves don't know what they can do.
Yeah.
And then they go on applying here, there, and everywhere. So, you see, it is like this. Let's say a person from Ahmedabad were to go to Bangalore and he knows no one. He just goes there and checks into some guest house and starts looking for a job. That's the scenario which you have when you come over here.
Okay.
Right? So, you see, I can say by God's grace, I was lucky. In fact, I had come to meet my first grandchild over here. And it so happened that I just delivered a talk in a university where this daughter, about whom I was talking, she is in Toronto now. She was studying for her master's. And it so happened that I chose a topic for the talk, in an area where they required a person. I didn't know about it.
Okay.
It was by God's grace that I chose that topic. I could have chosen 10 topics, but that day I chose a topic to give a technical talk. And like we have over here a professor who comes from outside and he's available. We'll be ready to have a talk from him. These things are free. We always provide service to each other like that. So I just went and with the idea that, okay, I'll give a talk, probably have a cup of coffee with them, and that will be all. But it so happened that they wanted a person in that particular area only.
Oh.
And there are many people over here who have come here and who are looking for a job. And I had not come here looking for a job. I had come only for a visit. And the job was offered to me.
Yeah.
And then I had to tell them when they conduct a very thorough interview and you have to meet a number of people. And I had to tell them, well, I can't take the job right now because I have to go back to India where I was heading the department, and I'll require 3 months to become free from there. So normally over here, they start the jobs, the semester starts in September. So they give you jobs from July. For me, they agreed to start the job in January, which is a rare thing to do.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is, if you know what you can do and if they need that particular thing, you will get a job immediately. But the first thing that we have to be clear in our mind is, what is it that we can do when we go there? They are not going to only look at your certificates. So the question is about our competence, our skills. Any other question, please?
Any other question, Nishta? Just invite questions, because sir,
Yes,
maybe,
sir.
sir,
Yes,
maybe then it's late, you know. You may have to
Yes,
take.
yes, I understand. We have Jaideep Khernar. He is having some question.
Yeah.
Jaideep, please unmute yourself. And this one request to all the students that whenever you have a question, you just have to text and we'll allow you to unmute, right? Just don't unmute in between.
Hello, sir. My name is Jaideep, and my question is, what is the difference in the syllabus of Canada and in the syllabus of GTU? Thank you.
And you are in JSFC University.
Jaideep, the thing is,
Yes,
the syllabus is more or less the same,
Same.
except that in some areas some minor changes may not have been made or may have been made at some place or the other. The only thing is, over here, the students have to really work hard. No student can come to a teacher and say, well, I cannot complete this assignment within 2 days. It is understood whether you keep awake at night or you work in the labs all over the night, you have to complete. The teacher is never questioned on that basis. The reason is, the student is there to learn, you know, he is interested in learning. So he in fact pushes the teacher. In our country, you can have an agitation from students because they don't want the teacher to make their life difficult. Over here, it is not so. As I told you, in the very first semester when I started teaching here in January, the first week I thought these students are no good. I had a much better class in it. But at the end of the semester, these people had learned so much that our students in the same syllabus would not have learned as well as required. Because both the teachers and the students work very hard. You see, there were days when I would come home and then go back and come home at 12 midnight. Because if my students are working, particularly the masters and PhD students, then you have to be there. And you know, over here the weather is not good, particularly from late December, January to April. It snows all over the place. But even in that very bad weather, students go on working all through the night. So what you see, once I went, at that time I had not yet transferred to Canada. I had come here for a conference in September. That was back in 1990. I was invited for a talk in University of Toronto. Now, the talk was in the morning at 8:30, and I was staying in a hotel. I didn't have a car or anything, so I was to travel by taxi and bus. So I reached there early, rather than 8:30, you know, because I didn't know the place. I had to search out the place and go to the appropriate room. So I reached there early, around 8 o'clock. And as I walked through looking for the professor who had invited me, I found students were sleeping on benches outside. And the reason is, probably they might have been working late at night and then they thought they should not go home because in snow, who will go so far? So they slept there, they will get ready in the morning for the class and attend the classes and then go home. So many students continue to work all through night, and in that bad weather, when it is not possible to go home easily. Well, they just slept at the bench. Of course, the building is all heated,
Okay.
so that's not a problem for them to sleep there. But what I'm trying to say is, we have a fine weather in our country. We don't have that kind of difficulty.
Ah,
But we don't still work as hard as required. So, for example, the same subject, I can give you many examples, but my examples will be, from electronics and computing. But for the same subject, you can learn things in many different ways. And by going through examples, you can understand the thing. And this is a problem not only over here, everywhere. I'll give you one example from industry in India. In Baroda, there is a German industry, and they had acquired a new machine. I was a consultant to them when I was in India. One day, I used to go there only on Saturday mornings for 4 hours. One day, on I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I received a call somewhere 11:30 or 12, and the CEO of that company, he said, "Sir, I am sorry that I am waking you up at this time, but we need your help very badly." I took my car and went there. When I went there, I found that all the top management was there on the shop floor, because the new crucial machine which they had imported from Germany was not working. And the trouble had been there for about 12 hours. The engineer had been trying to repair the whole thing. He was not succeeding. And after such a long time, when all the production had been stopped, they thought, okay, let's invite Aggarwal. So they invited me and I went there. I looked at the whole thing. I think most of you might have studied about control systems for machines. The only problem there was that the time constant, R into C is the time constant. The time constant required was of a few milliseconds. And this fellow did not have a CRO which will store information of that kind. He had only, ordinary equipment. Naturally, on the shop floor, you don't have that kind of equipment. So what he was doing was he was trying to see whether the change had occurred or not. So he was changing, feverishly resistances and capacitances and trying to see whether the thing is working or not. And he told me, "Sir, this is what I had been told in Germany, that if there is such a problem, you change this. But I have been changing all through the day and nothing happens." I asked him, "How do you know nothing happens?" He said, "See, sir, I've changed it and here is my meter, it doesn't show anything." I realized that his meter cannot show. How can the meter show something which comes in a few milliseconds and goes away? For that, you require another kind of equipment, and he didn't have that. I told him, "My dear, what is the kind of value you have to put?" He told me, "Sir, this is the kind of value which is probably supposed to work, but it is not working." I said, "Okay, please connect it." So he put that value, closed up the machine, switched it on, and it started working. I didn't do anything. And it was a German CEO over there of the company. He said, "Sir, you have been able to do it in no time." I said, "Well, I didn't do anything. You don't have the right equipment to test this machine. That's why this fellow was confused. And that's why for 12 hours he's been working and he didn't get the results." So the trouble is, this is something which is taught to us. You also must have studied. Those of you particularly who have studied a little bit of electrical engineering must have studied that R into C is the time constant. And most of us can calculate it, roughly, at least in our mind. But we have not thought about it. We do not, study things and understand them properly. That is the problem. And this German CEO was a mechanical engineer. He didn't know these things. And the person who was repairing had been trained in Germany.
Oh.
The company had sent him from India to get trained. What I'm trying to say is, it is the same syllabus, but we have to learn it and understand it. And once we understand it, the problem is not there. Okay. Any other question?
Yeah. Any other question? Now only one, huh? Wait. Yeah. Any? Rutvij wanted to
Yes,
ask.
sir, Rutvij. Yes, sir, Rutvij wanted to ask.
Yeah, Rutvij, introduce yourself and Barjin,
Yes,
ask the question.
Hello, sir. Rutvij here. I'm a student of 4th year mechanical engineering in GSFC University, Vadodara. And sir, my question was that as you explained about an example of a Chinese student who was facing issues in communicating in English over there, sir, we also face similar situations over here as well. Like in many institutes and universities, we have seen that the need of equipping students with soft skills is being neglected by the top management, and like that doesn't help the students to actually make up a blend of hard skills as well as soft skills. All they are focused on the hard skills only. So sir, I just wanted to ask that, is that the is it the particular scene over there as well, or is it just over here in India and institutes in India only?
Okay, I'll try to answer it in two ways. Number one, if you are able to express yourselves well in Gujarati, if you know what you are doing, and if you know what you are trying to tell the other person, then you can tell it in English also. And English need not be grammatically correct.
Correct.
Let me tell you, in Great Britain, they don't speak grammatically correct English. It is we who speak grammatically correct English, and we are obsessed.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said, sir.
You see, I had an uncle of mine who was nearly of my age and from a distant relative. And they had some problem in the family, and this fellow was not passing even the matriculation exam. You know, the 10th standard used to be called matriculation in our time. Now, they put him in our home because my mother was the principal of a big school. They said, see, this fellow is not learning, so please try to see that he can pass matriculation. This fellow was so confident, he will speak English totally grammatically wrongly,
but confidently.
but with confidence.
Yeah.
And you see, after passing matriculation, while staying in our home, he applied for going to England. At that time, it was relatively easy. He went to England. Today, he's a big hotelier over there.
Wow.
And you see, his English, he would speak, you know, without any worry, and it would be all grammatically wrong, but he would care. I'm not saying that we should speak grammatically wrong English. What I'm trying to say is, if you are able to express yourselves and if you have confidence in yourselves, you will get even a software job if you are not able to speak good English. But you should be able to speak. If you are not able to say what you want to say, if you are not able to communicate, then it's a problem. So please don't worry about English being correct, but please worry about the fact that you should be a good communicator.
Yeah.
Therefore, I always go on saying, I don't know how many of you had heard me when I was there. If you are great in Gujarati, if you are great in Hindi, then don't worry. If you are a good communicator, a little bit of English will help you. That's all. But if you are not good communicator, then no amount of knowledge of grammar can help us.
Perfectly said, sir. In fact, in my PEP, I teach English, the same concept, you know. Don't worry about grammar. Just speak.
So,
Mr. No more question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No more question.
So, sir, it said now, sir, this thing, the message to the students, sir, before you look, because now it must be around 11 o'clock there.
yes, my message is only this, that there are opportunities available for you. Go and grab them. My message is, please understand that all this talk of no jobs being there is not correct. In fact, there are so many opportunities, so many jobs, so many things to be done that there cannot be a shortage of job for those who know. So learn to do things in your field, and then you'll get a job immediately. Of course, as I said, communication is very important, because if you learn and if you are not able to communicate what you can do, then also will not help you. So both these things are required. And I'm sure your teachers and you can work together to ensure that not only that you don't remain without a job, you have many job opportunities available to you.
Sir, nice answer. Thank you very much. You would feel very happy, sir. Those principals and those colleges who have supported us, GEC Dahod, GEC Bhuj, and DDU, Nadiad, they are students passionate, whether you talk of Brahmbhatt sir of GEC Dahod, and Rathod sir of Bhuj, and Nimesh Joshi sir of Nadiad. They are so much passionate for students that despite there being a limited framework of, as you know, GTU and all working, they are promoting PEP at their colleges and going out of the way in supporting their students. It's really nice, So on behalf of them, sir, Brahmbhatt sir, Rathod sir, and Joshi sir, I thank you very much. And sir, I would particularly be interested to have you on and off, because I'm having regular this session. So my students will be having such talks, it's okay. We could not utilize you when you were here, but now I think just oblige us and give us continuous blessing as and when I request.
Anyway, I'm thankful to all the three principals and other professors.
Thank you, sir,
for gracing this occasion. It's always a pleasure for me to meet all these people and talk to them. Of course, right now I'm not in a position to personally meet them because I'm at such a distance. But anyway, I'm thankful to them for coming over here to hear me. And thank you very much for inviting me.
Sir, thank you.